Negroes, coloreds, and people who claim descent from the continent of Africa,
And
or
so
who
what is
refer
the
to themselves
difference?
African Americans.
And what is the difference between a citizen and a national? If
A
that's the
national
case?
is a descendant of the true American citizens who existed prior to the establishment of the 13 colonies. The 13 colonies themselves were, at the time, the only place where the world, where everybody understood the word or world England to be. So when we think of the 13 colonies between the 1700s and the mid 1800s, we're talking about, England at that time, we're talking about the 13 colonies. There was no place called England over there in the 1700s. That place was called Albion. So that means then that when you talk about New England, or you talk about England in the 1700s, the 13 colonies, the Lord Proprietors of the colonies, those who made the deals with the Delaware Lenape, the original so-called British, the people who really had the Union Jack flag, all of that was over here. So what they did was made us foreign to ourselves based upon the fact that we were always born here, but they made us believe that we were imported as slaves from a place called Africa, which then put us in an inferior position, which took us out of the national position. The national position being that we as Americans, we were always descended from the people who was from over here. There's no record of me. If you can't have no record, I can't be African American if you can't label where in Africa I'm really from. If you call me an African American, you're calling me two continents. You're not calling me an individual. It's not like saying I'm an Irish American, because an Irish American can go back to Ireland. An Italian American go back to Italy. A Moorish American is significantly tied to the Moorish experience and the Moorish Empire, which was a global empire but had a consolidated central government over here that reconsolidated itself as the United States of America in General Congress Assembly.
So it still exists.
Yes, we're in it right now.
Who, when you say we're?
Anybody that's on the physical landmass of the United States is in Alamana Estados, aka
Whether
the
they know
American
it or not.
continent.
But you have to understand that sounds crazy because not a
I'm
lot
going
of
to
people.
explain why.
Okay.
The continental United States, right? That represents North, Central, South America. That's the land, everything on it and in it. The corporate United States, the corporate jurisdiction, is all of the businesses that were incorporated through the Roman Curia in 1871 under the title United States of America, Inc., which is filed as a corporation in Lloyd's Bank of London right now, that is officially bankrupt, that has now went into receivership and has now been made a disregarded entity by the same Roman Curia that incorporated, i.e. the Vatican. Through the motu proprio, the Vatican put out an edict that said that the United States and any corporation that's attached to it is no longer backed by any lawful law in the world. That everybody that lists themselves as a public official or a public servant is then by definition a criminal. This is their CEO. This is the CEO of every corporation.
What translation in?
That means that every cop, every judge, every lawyer, every whoever, anybody in any municipal federal system technically is a criminal.
Wow.
Based upon the Pope telling them that.
So recently, can we just, even if it's 2 more minutes because we're at 11,
Sure.
recently a lot is taking place with the Pope. Can you just maybe let us know why right now specifically?
Because
in
as he has disregarded all of the Western world or the Western European corporations, he's disregarded them totally. They don't exist anymore. So they've all been kind of, put out.
Okay.
So as they've been put out, they've now created a vacuum. There's a power vacuum now where nobody is co-signing Western technologies, Western finances based upon anything connected to the United States. Because everything connected to the United States, so-called government, is coming out of Washington. That's the only place where the United States exists.
Wow.
It doesn't exist anywhere else. It
Not
only exists
District of
outside.
Columbia or just
Washington, D.C.
Wow.
It doesn't exist anywhere else. Actually, Virginia just took land back from D.C., so it's actually not even a 10-mile square of its main radius. It's actually now more like 6 miles within the general D.C. area. That's the only place where the United States exists. That's it.
So this is...
The only reason why it exists anywhere else is because they extended the corporate colorable jurisdiction through getting people to sign up under terms like white, black, African, West Indian, Hispanic, and then they get incorporated into the United States through the 14th Amendment, which is a war amendment, which then makes them basically hostiles on United States territory. And the United States now has listed since, I think, the Clinton era, that the whole country is a battleground, because the United States is being forced now to reduce itself back to its original jurisdiction. And that's what the Pope is coming here to do, because he ain't got no choice.
So to seal this up,
he's going to all the original capitals of our republic. He's going to Philly, he's going to he's going to Philadelphia Shaker Mexum, which is Philadelphia. He's going to El Sanguine, which is New York, and then he went to Cuba already. So you already know what the prophet did there. And I believe then the last stop is Virginia.
wow.
So after that, it's a wrap. So those of us that don't have a nationality should get one. Rest in peace, brother Mansour Ball Bay, which again in the next one we'll get into what that was about in terms of a ritual and how the United States is even in more trouble now, because that is really an international incident.
Sometimes I just want to stop you and say I'm so proud of you, and then go at the same breath, what is this? It means so much. And at the same token, I've watched this knowledge drive many a man insane.
That's why you need God in your life. That's why you need some sort of spirituality and the love of a good woman in your life to center yourself, because if you don't, and you are trying to bring all of this together just by yourself,
this is why you have to back up and let it burn, let them burn, let it burn.
Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Let the dead bury the dead.
Yeah.
Inshallah. And we'll see you next week.
And with that as well, it's saying, and when it does, new life always emerges.
That's right.
And the seeds
and
that
we're
are
on the
being
cusp
planted,
of that.
the seeds that